Story 1. Am I the a-hole for canceling the entire vacation when my stepdaughter hid my daughter's passport to get her to stay home? I've been married to my wife Beth for 5 years. I have a bio daughter named Jessica, she's 18, and I also have two stepdaughters named Monica and Leia. They're 25 and 28. Both are single moms and live with us currently. There's been issues with my stepdaughters asking my daughter to babysit the kids. Jessica didn't have a problem with it at first, since this is what she does to earn money, but since her stepsisters don't pay her much, she just refused to babysit. We worked this out by having my wife take care of paying for the babysitting. I planned a family vacation for 3 days and everyone wanted to go. However, both Monica and Leia suggested that Jessica stay home and watch the kids since Beth doesn't want her grandkids to come. They said it's because the kids are used to Jessica and hiring another babysitter would cause issues, and also said that Jessica isn't too fond of our destination, but it was obvious that Jessica wanted to go. They insisted, and Beth offered to pay her double, and there was just a lot of back and forth on this till I demanded they stop bringing it up. We were supposed to go last week, but when everybody had packed their bags and it was time to go, Jessica found out that she didn't have her passport on her. We searched her bag, then went home and searched there. Beth and my stepdaughters kept insisting that we go back to the airport or else we'd miss our flight. They insisted that Jessica stay at home with the kids. They even told the new babysitter to go home because she was no longer needed. I refused to go and kept searching for the passport till Monica admitted that she helped Leia hide Jessica's passport to get her to stay home with the kids. I was livid. I tried to get her to tell me where it was, but she said Leia had it. Leia denied it, so I threatened to cancel the vacation. That's when they gave it back. I decided to actually cancel the vacation and blew up at both of them and berated them. They stayed upstairs for a while, and Beth refused to speak to me and said that I punished my stepdaughters for worrying about their kids and wanting them to stay with someone they know. I got told I overreacted and ruined the trip for everybody. Editing to mention that kicking my stepdaughters out isn't possible since my wife co-owns the house that we currently live in. What is wrong with people? Why would you do something like that? I'm sorry, it's a family vacation. Jessica's 18 years old and can make her own decisions, and you're hiding her passport to keep her from going on a trip. Having her stay home to babysit shouldn't have even been in the discussion in the first place. They should never have been pushing for that. It's like, hey, this is a family trip for all of us. We'll leave your kids with someone that we can trust. Promise. This is so ridiculous. And the fact that they are upset with the poster when he has, canceled this. Yeah, of course he canceled it. I wouldn't want to be on vacation with them after they pulled something like that. No, that's absolutely just gross. And the fact that even the mother in this is just like, look, they just wanted their kids to be with someone they trust. No! You should be furious with them. And how could you do this to your stepsister to try and prevent her from having a nice trip? Absolutely uncalled for. No, this poster is not the a-hole, and serious discussions need to have with some of the people in this family. Story 2. Bully my girlfriend at work? Good luck getting hired at my company. I'm a 26-year-old man that works as a program coordinator at my company. We're a 1,000-person team that focuses on supporting the military with defense contracts. My girlfriend is 22 years old and works as a bartender while she's finishing up her final year of university. She's sweet, shy, and makes me laugh every time we hang out. I love her so much. But one of her coworkers, Megan, is a complete butt to her when they work together. Cusses her out in front of diners, belittles her when she makes a mistake, reports every little infraction she makes to the general manager, etc. This woman is in her late 30s and still acting like a high schooler. My girlfriend has reported this behavior several times to management, but they just wave it off. Several nights, she's cried into my shoulder talking about how badly she wants to quit, and I reassure her that Megan is trash and she doesn't deserve being treated that way. One afternoon, I came into the restaurant while my girlfriend was working the bar. Sure enough, Megan was also there along with another young guy. The young guy and I are talking about our career goals when he asks what company I currently work for. A defense contracting company, I respond. Oh, hey, Megan just applied there, right? He says, turning to Megan. Didn't you apply for direct defense contracting company? Yes, Megan replies, not making eye contact with me. What position, I ask. A warehouse one, she answers. That's all I needed. That night I asked my girlfriend what Megan's last name was, and the following morning I immediately headed towards the warehouse manager's office. We maintain a good professional relationship. I informed him that a woman named Megan Blank had applied for some type of position under his department and warned him that she was prone to cause trouble. He thanked me for informing him, and I went about the rest of my day as normal. That was 2 months ago. Last I heard, Megan was still working as a bartender at my girlfriend's restaurant. I applaud her for trying to move up in the world. Maybe she's looking to get health benefits. Maybe bartending is getting to be too much as she ages, but I don't think anyone else deserves to suffer from her workplace attitude. I think she's exactly where she needs to be for the rest of her life. All right, let's not completely condemn this person based on how she is right now. I mean, yeah, granted, I think, her not getting this job is maybe not the worst thing in the world. I think it's probably well-deserved. But I would also hope instead that she learns a lesson, maybe learns to be a nicer person, more understanding in the workplace, so that anyone else who works at this restaurant doesn't have to suffer the wrath of Megan. It might be nice if Megan was just a more pleasant person and learned some lessons. I know, it seems like in your late 30s, learning lessons might be a little bit hard, but hey, I learned some lessons throughout my 30s, and I think I've become, better is maybe not the right word for it, but different. Story 3. Entitled Mom Gets Mad I'm in my underwear in my own house. Background. I usually sleep in my underwear during summer since it gets hot in my house. I also have curtains in my windows. Cast, entitled Mom, B, who invaded my privacy, entitled Kid, entitled Little Girl, me, not me, I know how it looks. One day I woke up and made myself a bowl of cereal since I was home alone. I'm 18, so I have a small house. I walked past my window to the kitchen when I heard a knock on the door. I'm still only in my underwear, so I hurry and get some shorts on. I open the door and see entitled Mom and entitled Kid. How dare you walk around in your underwear? What the F? I'm in my own house and I had the window closed with the curtain down. My daughter got curious and peeked through your window and saw your underwear. Well, it's my house, so if I wanted, I could be naked in there. Slams door. I make my cereal while entitled Mom continues to bang on the door and shout. I ignore her and play some Minecraft. That's the point where I would be like, hey, if you allow your kid to start peeping through my window, I'm going to report it to the police because that's not okay. You can't be peeping through my windows. That's the behavior of a pervert. Are you a pervert, ma'am? Are you perverting on me? Are you perverse in nature? What did you think about my underwear? Why are you looking at my underwear? How dare you? But seriously, I'm joking, but literally, peeping into someone's house with the curtains drawn, like that's illegal, right? Is it illegal? I mean, I feel like, there's a whole thing about that. Peeping is a thing, and peeping's illegal. Is it only illegal if you're in your underwear or if you're naked? Like, can you peep? I mean, I guess I've gone to knock on doors and be like, hey, is there anyone home? And you kind of lean and look at the window to see if a light's on, but what if I accidentally saw someone in their underwear? I'd be unfazed. I don't know. Story 4. My grandma deaded money in her will. So, I don't know the full story, but I do know the justice of it. My grandma raised her kids with love. She practically spoiled them, and she raised her grandkids too, me and my 2 sisters. 2 of them, my uncle and my dad, became addicts, and the last, my aunt, became estranged. I've got tons of relatives, so I don't know if I've ever met her. If I have, I don't remember her face or name, so let's call her Little Ms. J. J left without looking back and constantly asked my grandmother for money. She hardly repaid Grandma, which was a big mistake because, surprise, surprise, my grandma was on top of every penny that she had. She was the best I've ever seen when it came to handling funds. But 2 years ago, my grandma was diagnosed with cancer. She worked her butt off her whole life, was the strongest woman on the planet, and nobody got by without paying her their dues. Eventually, my grandma dies. In her will, she gives money to my grandpa, my dad, my uncle, me, and my sisters, everyone in her family. But when it comes to Jay, she says, you still owe me $14. I do not know if she actually somehow deaded Jay $14 in a will or just put it there as a little slap in the face. All Jay was worried about when Grandma died was the money, and she got none of it. I can't be prouder to have a grandma that wouldn't leave this world without the last laugh. Edit. I guess I forgot to include it. Jay is also a drug addict. That's why she needed my grandmother's money constantly. My grandmother was a great woman and a great mother to me. She raised me well. And another edit, because people want to blame my grandmother. She raised 3 kids that were hers and 3 kids that weren't. The kids that were hers turned into drug addicts. The 3 kids that weren't turned into people who could handle their emotions and found therapy for themselves. I think it was a generational problem rather than the bad parenting she's being accused of. She was the kindest woman I'd ever met, but also the strongest. All 3 of us are getting therapy for things that aren't related to my grandmother. My uncle, my dad, and my aunt are not. We do not think that maybe the generational differences of people who were often not given needed resources and people with the technology to find needed resources might be a factor in how they handle their mental illness. Last edit I'll make, and I'm not replying to anyone. I should have expected the community, notorious for being snobby and pompous, would react like this, but I still feel the need to clarify. None of you know my life simply from my paragraphs written here. I have a long history, and the memories of my grandmother are the only good ones I have. None of the drug addicts in my family, not my mom, not my dad, not my other grandma, not the aunt I do know, not my uncle, not one member of my family has spoken ill about how my grandmother treated her kids. In fact, they've spoken highly of her parenting. It will be a cold day in hell when I let chronically online know-it-alls attempt to change my memory of my grandmother into something she was not. She was an honorable woman, and she is not responsible for the mistakes her children made when faced with an opioid crisis. I know that my dad was long out of the house before he got hooked on drugs, and he is now diagnosed with anxiety. If you'd like to continue blaming my grandma, I'd love to see how you believe she affected the other half of my family who was the same way. A leading cause of addiction is genetics and mental and emotional disorders. Anxiety can be an inherited condition that probably went untreated, as my grandmother was also a very anxious person. What I know is my grandmother did not work her butt off to be a good person just for a bunch of self-important prigs to insult her. Bottom line, you don't know my life, I do. This is a funny story because everyone in the family knows Jay is an a-hole. This is a good bit of advice for people to have, and even for me, because I've been guilty of judging people too harshly, but there's a lot that goes into parenting and the society that you're around and all this stuff. And also, sometimes a person can be truly wonderfully nice and well-intentioned and try to do everything right and still just, make some mistakes that were good-intentioned. Like a parent trying to give their kid extra stuff and make sure they're taken care of might not realize that they're maybe spoiling them a bit and making those adjustments. Not everyone knows every single little thing, especially generations back. Who knows what things she was dealing with, what lessons she was passing on that she thought were good and helpful that maybe weren't. Who knows? And who knows what genetic factors and whatever were affecting these other people. So, yeah, if there's one thing we should take from this story, let's not be too quick to judge the parenting of someone based on how their kids turn out. As I said, I'm guilty of this. I've done it in videos. You can all go back and look at them and, point to evidence of me doing this because I've been judgmental and snappy, and I probably will be again in the future. Who knows? But yeah, also I hate to blame grandmas for anything because I love my grandma so much. I miss her so much. Grandma, you're the best. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.